what you did?
Alright, so I came up with this deck called Inormality. It's a mixture of Worms and Invoked, and I just won my locals and pulled an Ash Blossom. I sold the Ash Blossom immediately. I don't have it on me to show you. If you want to see the cash in my wallet, I guess you can. But yeah, so I'm just going to get right into it. First off, I started with 3 Alistar. This card you just need to play at 3. There's really no questions.
Tell everyone your matchups.
Oh yeah, I played against Spiral, Trickstars, Pendulum Magicians, and ABC, and Infernoid.
60 cards.
60 card Infernoid, yeah. So it was definitely interesting. Yeah, I think I went to game 3 almost every time, but
you did.
Yeah.
Actually, except against me because.
Yeah, except against. I had to play my friend Charlie, of course, against ABC, where I opened Dark Hole and Interrupted Slumber and just.
And a Kaiju.
And a Kaiju, yeah. So I just sacked the shit out of him. Yeah. Next, I played 3 Zex, 3 Yagin, and 1 King. So like, this is the basic Worm engine. I think this works really well because you can fuse with these cards, and like you can not play King if you don't like this. Because it can be a brick if you draw it, but I feel like it's just such a great card to discard off Makaba or fuse from hand. You really want to have a light monster, and they work really well because they let you play a lot of trap cards with a minimal monster count. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed those. So, yeah, and that's it for that. Next up, I played 4 Kaijus for the Slumber in the main deck because Sleeper's a bitch. I did out, whatchamacallit. Did I out-trade it? Oh no, I just played Slumber and I outed, the entire board with Trigate and everything. So I played the 1 game. So you can swap this for like the dark one or whatever. It doesn't matter. Don't play the expensive one if you don't have it.
Some guy in our local stole his dark one and
never gave it back. No. Oh, actually, he gave it back today.
Yeah.
But the Kaijus are just incredible in this deck. Not only they put every other attribute in your grave, so it's really good with that, as well as being able to clear Sleeper and things like that. Yeah, I don't play Dog. I don't own him. But yeah.
He's the only one I own though.
So yeah, we play the 4
I need to get
Kaijus.
those cards.
Next up, we play 3 Terraforming, 3 Magical Meltdown, and 2 Invocation. This just follows up the Alistar build. You need to play 3 of this card. Originally, I was on the fence. I opened 3 Meltdowns. I want to say at least 4 of the games I played today because I would open like 2 Terraformings, a Meltdown, or a Meltdown, 2 Terraformings. I'd rather have it than not have it though, because it's such a strong card. And not being able so they can't strike or warning, your fusion summon is just absolutely incredible. So yeah, you definitely just need to max out on it. Eventually this card will probably go to 1. And I won't mind that because I really don't like this card. I don't think it should be at 3 in the game right now because it's Rhoda for every deck, and every deck plays a field spell that searches.
And like every field spell in this game searches something. So
exactly.
It's like you can play 3 Rhodas for free, but we can't play 3 Rhodas.
Yeah. So I feel like it definitely should get hit at least to 1 or something. That way it's not, as broken.
There are other ways to search a field spell.
Yeah.
I mean, it set rotations at 1. Why isn't that? Because they set rotations just like...
Does the same thing, exactly. Except it locks your opponent out. So I don't know. But yeah, so that was definitely a necessity, sorry. Next up, I main 2 MST. You can main Twin Twisters. I felt like this deck didn't have as much card advantage as I would have liked to main Twin Twister. So I side decked it against Pendulum because then I was like, oh, well, the second card isn't necessarily the biggest minus. This card's still really good, especially against Pendulum Magician because you clear that back row. Or if you chain it to their field spell, sometimes it's not as great to have the Twin Twister because then you lose a card and don't get anything out of this. For the last 2 cards, I play Slumber and Dark Hole. If you ever Geki, play Regeki.
He refuses to play Regeki.
That card's too expensive.
He could have won so many games so much earlier if he had.
If I had Regeki.
I was watching matches.
But obviously this card's broken 1 of, and then this card also is a really good 1 of. But yeah, you can also play, I think, both if you really want to.
You can play Regeki, Dark Hole, Slumber, the trio of board wipes.
It's up to you. Next, 3W Nebula. If you don't know what this card does, it flips all face-down monsters on the board face up. Then, at the end of the turn, if there are light reptile monsters face up on the board, you flip them face down, draw a card for each one that was flipped face down, and then you special summon Worm King out of your deck. So this card's like amazing in this because if you don't open the Alistar engine and you open a Zex in this card, you literally just sit there with a Walking Compulse, because Yagin's a Compulse, and you bounce their board, draw 2, and special summon King is the ideal play. Sometimes you'll only have a Yagin, so you'll bounce 1, draw 1, special summon King. Either way, when you play this card, if you play it right, you get a profit off of it, and that's really what's important. And like I said, if you don't like King, it does make this card weaker, but some people say King's a win more card, so you can change that if you would like.
King sucks.
I main deck 2 Mind Crush. Every single deck searches, and I needed a filler because it was at 38 cards and I didn't know what to put in, but I felt this card was really good. And it actually did perform extremely well because every single time they searched the card they needed, like even against Trickstar, against ABC, where he kept adding the card back to his hand, I was able to get it out and things like that. So I felt this card actually did really, really well. Even against the Inferno, and I hit the Lumina, especially against Pendulum Magician, it did really well as well. Next to Duster. This deck is slow, so you can play traps like this. If you want, you can play Twin Twister. Like I said, I really don't like losing card advantage, but I do side deck 3 Twin Twisters, so like it's really up to you. But yeah, I think this card's really good. Next, I played 2 Stormings.
Yep.
I resolved this once, and it was irrelevant. And my friend told me he played D-Barrier, so I definitely want to play D-Barrier instead of this card. I think you should. But other than that, it can be good. It's just everything these days, nobody's going to go into the battle phase attacking with back row, so it's too slow of a trap to play.
You want your traps to be chainable.
Yep. 2 strike, 1 warning, because these are just the Solemn Brigade, I guess. Well, I mean, I'm missing 1 strike, but you just need to play these cards.
They're the most broken cards in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, you can play a 3rd strike if you want to,
has
too.
this at 2, but I mean, they have judgment because whoever makes the list in the OCG has autism, I guess.
So yeah, those cards. And then for the last one of them, I play 1 Bottomless and 1 Torrential. This card catches so many people off guard if they don't
expect that.
They never do.
Yeah.
And this card is good against like first turn against Spirals. If I don't open strike, like I said, you probably should just play a 3rd strike over this, but I could see it potentially being okay. It's up to you.
I mean, the only thing is like against Trickstars, they can tag out their Candinas.
Yeah. Next up.
But you can bottomless Lycoris and they lose, so.
Yeah, that's true. Next up, I have the extra deck.
Yeah.
I played 2 Macabros, 1 Perghetto, 1 of the Earth, 1 of the Water, and 1 Elysium. Alright, so you definitely want a 3rd of this card. It came up, I want to say, twice today, where I needed the 3rd. Originally, I thought, oh, you don't need to play 3 of this card. It's not necessary, and to be honest, I was just being cheap. I definitely think you should probably play a 3rd card. 3rd of this, because it's so good. I mean, I just learned it can negate things in damage step, apparently, which is stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid.
None of the others came up, but you want this card in case of your opponent playing Scapegoat, and then you can kill them. This
Plus
card
Ash is
against
fire, so you should be able to make it.
so like you can be able to make it with other things. This card in case you play against Paleo didn't come up, and this card in case they drop Maxi against you, because you can just remove and then have a big beater. This card, I've never seen Invoked players play it. I love this card. I think it's so good.
He's not playing the combo anymore, though, so
Yeah,
you can't do
I'm not playing the Kage to Kage combo where I would make King of the Feral Imps and then make this target first turn. But this card's still really good because it can push for game. It can get the Macabre off your board, and you can this can out a Spiral board if they use their sleeper inefficiently, and you can just banish everything on their board. And it's insane. It's just so good. Granted, they have to be the same attribute, but I mean, this card counts as all attributes, so I think it's definitely an interesting card that people aren't playing. I played the Utopia package. I won against Trickstar because I played this with the exact game, because he had, I want to say, Lilybell on board. He was at 59, he had Lilybell and Licorice on board, and then I had the 3300 Kaiju, smacked over Lilybell, made this, and smacked over Licorice for game exact. Baguska never came up. It's a Cherries target, though, so I guess it's good. It's a really good card. Feral Imps to search. Again, I think I made this once and it got striked, but yeah. 1 Castel. Gets the spin back row. This for Paleo, never came up. Diamond Dyer, I don't own Tornado Dragon, so I play this card. And then I played 2 Link Monsters, I never made them. You're just going to probably be making fusions 24/7. That's the extra deck. The side deck is short, I only played 5, 6, 7 cards because this was like a last minute choice to play, and I'm so glad I did because I pulled Ash, so that was amazing. But yeah, I side decked 2 Cherries. I didn't own any of the cards to Cherry other than Baguska, but I really didn't want my opponent to do it, so I figured I'd put them in the extra deck anyway. Charlie let me borrow this card because I was guaranteed destined to play him, because that's just how it works when at locals. Didn't draw them. Didn't draw them at all. And then for the last card, I just played 3 Twin Twister. These came in against Pendulum, and I want to say that's the only time they came in. But yeah, so
I'm playing Teller Knight next week, and hopefully I top. I say hopefully because that deck is so bad.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a deck profile if the Teller Knight gets it. But yeah, no. So as far as I'm definitely looking for recommendations for the deck. I definitely see like the normal summonal problems. I felt like X most of the time in the Worms just kind of baited out strikes and things. But yeah, nonetheless, I thought it was a pretty solid deck. Like I said, I definitely changed the Stormings for D barriers. But yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comments. Rogue Scrubs out.